podcasting from my closet in northern Japan. This is Reimagining Hustle, a podcast for entrepreneurial parents creating a life where business and parenthood live peacefully in the same space. I'm your host, Roxanne Murkett, a mom of two, microbusiness coach, and serial entrepreneur on a journey to prove that it is possible to do what you love without sacrificing all your precious time. Let's do this. Welcome back to Reimagining Hustle. I cannot wait for you to meet my guest today. I have Amy Schweizer with me. Amy, how are you?
Hey, Roxanne. I am good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be really, really fun. For me, it's always a treat to interview other military spouses. And, that just adds like this extra layer of goodness and wonderfulness. So I'm thrilled to have you. Will you just jump right in? Tell us about you. Tell us about the work you do, your journey to get there, the whole shebang.
Oh, man. Stop me if you need to. Okay.
Okay, you got it. You got it.
Okay. So I am a mom to three little boys. They're 10, 7, and 5. I'm a Marine Corps spouse of about 12 years. And fun, not so fun fact, my husband just disclosed that he's retiring. So we decided that. So we will have a whole new adventure coming up sometime soon. We are currently stationed in North Carolina at Camp Lejeune, but we'll be moving back home to the Midwest. So we're excited about that. I am an avid sports enthusiast and big proponent of physical activity, especially with little ones. So I've been playing soccer since I was 16, which actually is kind of late in life considering how young kids start now. But in my hometown, they didn't have soccer for girls. So it was not a thing around where we lived. And the first time I literally ever touched a soccer ball was simply because they said, "Hey, we're going to start a soccer team. You guys play basketball, so at least you're athletic. Do you want to play soccer?" And we're all like, "Sure, why not?" So literally, that was the first time I'd ever touched a soccer ball, but it happened to be the sport I loved the most. It was the best at. So I played then a couple years of high school. I went on to college. I got to play in the WUSL with the Cincinnati Lady Hawks for a season after that. Um, Fast forward, I had got my master's degree in sport management, and my goal was to work in professional sports. I always wanted to work in the community relations department of professional sports because giving back to me serving others is a real big part of just who I am in general. So that was like the epitome of it. And I was working towards that. I had interned with the Philadelphia 76ers and I had gone to talk with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Um, and then I met my now husband. So that leads up to that.
Wow. Okay, so then you met your husband, which, for anybody who's listened to the podcast before, we've talked, to military spouses. We know that throws a fun wrench in everything because you get to make a decision of, okay, how is this going to affect me as a person? So talk to me about that. What was that? You're on this path, this trajectory, interviewing with these big teams, like doing all this. You meet your husband. That's a big decision. For me, it mimics a little bit of my own story where it was, okay, I guess I will give up these dreams and follow you around the world. So what
Yeah.
did that look like for you?
Well, so you said decision, and that actually caught me off guard because for me, I don't feel like it was a decision of giving up my career because I didn't know that. So my knowledge of the military was like, yeah, you support the troops. Like, that
Yeah.
was my knowledge of the military. So I always say I knew I was giving up a job. I did not know I was giving up my career. And so I didn't decide that. And
Got it.
I don't know if I would have made that decision if I'm being quite frank, because we got married later in life. We were both 28.
Mhm.
And so I was already had my stuff down, like my trajectory, what I've worked towards, where I was headed. And so, if I'd have known that, I don't know. I think that sounds terrible. I know,
No. It's real. It's honest. And that's the truth of it. Right. And I appreciate you
yeah,
being so honest with us.
yeah. And so but I didn't know that. And I did make a decision. Of course, I don't regret it now by any
Yeah.
means. But so that really, it was within a year that we met and got married, which was also never my like plan in life. So in how we met, I just have to throw this in. It's pretty funny. So we were both working a job fair. So I was the program director at the Boys and Girls Club at the time, and he was recruiting for the Marine Corps. And we were
Okay.
at a job fair, and our booths were next to each other.
Oh my
And that's
word.
literally how we met. And he said, he always teases now, if I wasn't in my dress blues, you would have never talked to me. Like, that's wonderful. That's highly, highly possible.
I mean, the
Uh,
Marines do have the best dress uniform, let's be
I
honest
mean, I
here.
have to yeah. No, we got married, and then our first date, we still talk about because I said, "Well, just so you know, in about a year, I'm moving down to Jacksonville. Like, I've already started the talks. I've been down there looking at houses and stuff." And he said, "When PCSing," which I didn't really know what that meant, right? But moving, I'm moving to California. We're like, okay. And friends would ask, like, "So what do you do?" Like, you're going to Florida. He's going to California. So what? I'm like, well, I guess we'll either be broken up or married in a couple months. I guess we'll see. That was literally how it worked out. My attitude towards it. So obviously got married in
Yeah.
California, not in Florida. So
Yep.
we were there, had our first kiddo, Roman, and then moved to Okinawa. And so that just kind of made it, as you know, living overseas, your job opportunities are even more limited,
Yeah.
especially if you want to be in a specific industry. So
Mhm.
professional sports is not really going to happen over there overseas. And so that was just a lot of internal work I had to do to say, okay, I gave up my life and I don't have what I want. And and gosh, I hate to sound whiny, Roxanne.
You you
I don't
don't.
regret it. I don't regret it, but that's just how I felt. Right. And so I'm like, I don't even have a job, let
Yeah.
alone the job I wanted. And I'm very career oriented. So like that was a big deal to me. And then I'm home with a little one, which we all know how isolating that can be as well. And so, um, pairing and then pregnant with my second one. So just pairing all that together is kind of how Tiny Troops was even born because I needed to do something out of the house. I needed to work. My little guy needed some people to interact with. And our program is designed for ages 2 to 5. And that's strategic because at least 7 years ago, most things started at age 5. So there was
Yeah.
truly nothing for us at home with little ones to do for the whole day or for months when our spouse was gone. So I needed it, he needed it, and clearly everyone else needed it too because we are where we are today. So, um, yeah, that was a long, long answer for my how I
I
to make.
love it though. I love it. So I want to ask you more about Tiny Troops. So tell us what is it? So it's for kids 2 to 5. We know that, but tell us, I mean, tell us what it is. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so we started in Okinawa, and actually another spouse was just doing some like soccer lessons for something to do too, and then somehow she and I connected, and then I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do this. And then I turned it into a pretty bona fide program. And then that really spurred me having to hire other people, other military spouses. So I'm really proud of that to date. I think we're at least over 200 that we've hired. I maybe
Incredible.
more to date. So that I'm super proud of that because I know how it feels to let go of your career and a job. And so I always say I can't give you the like $80,000 a year you're making before, right? But at
Right.
least you can get out of the house, have a sense of autonomy, be back outside and moving, contribute monetarily to your family again. So that spurred that. And so one of my first coaches, Michelle, who's actually now my assistant director, so she's been with me through the years. She was PCSing to California. And I thought, do you have a job yet? I asked her and she's like, no. And I'm like, don't get a job. I have an idea. So that's how Tiny Troops really got started. And then it's just taken off from there.
That's amazing. So tell me, it's focused on soccer alone. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it is, but I probably confused you with the names I gave you. So I have a couple different businesses. So
Okay.
Tiny Tot Sports is a business I had that actually started as a grad school project. I created a program for my hometown soccer association, which they've been running ever since, long years ago. And
Love
so they've
it.
been running it for a long time. So that was actually my first business idea. I thought, oh, I could turn this into something for other soccer associations. Well, then Tiny Troops came along and just took off. So I've just recently been started back with Tiny Tot, and it's Tiny Tot Sports, but I did just focus on soccer for right now.
Okay.
So it's still just soccer. But Tiny Troop Soccer is my in-person sessions where you sign your kid up, you go in like your traditional soccer league per se.
Mhm.
Tiny Tot Soccer is more something that the soccer associations, like the rec leagues, would buy this program and then present it for their
Got
participants.
it.
So
Got
yeah,
it.
you
Okay.
soccer, but that's probably where you think it
Yeah,
off.
no, I appreciate the clarification. Yeah, because I was looking. I mean, obviously, I do a little bit of snoop work
Yeah,
before our
yeah.
podcast, and so that I appreciate you clarifying. All right, so you've got all of this, right? So you've had this huge shift in your career trajectory. You've got 3 boys, your military spouse, moving all over the place. Now you've got this nice little retirement wrench thrown into you, right? You're running multiple businesses at this point in the game. What does success look like to you?
So it's evolved so much, my definition of success over the years. So, 10 years ago, I would have said me working for a pro team, like that was the goal that
Yeah.
would make me successful. And it's kind of funny because growing up, my parents just had high expectations of my brother and I. Like right now, my brother's the mayor of our hometown, so
Nice.
yeah, we have high expectations, or they had high expectations, and not in a bad way, but I think that caused us to have high expectations of ourselves. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that we do, and people are like, oh my gosh, this is great. And we're like, yeah, it's okay. So
Yeah.
I've really been trying to, and not saying that to toot my own horn by any way, shape, or form, but just to say like, I've been trying to be more mindful of the small things that I do get to accomplish and how those are important to me. And, they really are successful in the traditional sense. So it's evolved to that. But then I would say I finally landed on the balance that I have now with being an entrepreneur and being a mom. Because, if I'm honest, in the first years, there's not a balance. And I'm sure my kids did suffer a bit, from that. And that's just how it is. So
Yeah.
now that I have a great team, an awesome, awesome team that pretty much can handle most of it without me now. And I get to do fun stuff like talk to you. And so now I can be, I don't have to have my phone on me constantly, and I'm not answering emails constantly, and I'm not taking payments and having my son strapped to me coaching soccer because
Yeah.
that has happened before. So I think I would say I'm successful now in the sense I'm able to truly have a balance.
I love that definition too. It's interesting to find, I ask this question to every person that I interview, and every different definition of success is so nuanced and so specific. And so I appreciate you sharing that definition. And it's fun to kind of learn of the progression, of how that has changed over the years. I'm curious, how do you teach your kids about success at this point? Because you mentioned your parents raised you with really high
Mhm.
expectations. Are you passing that along? Are you tweaking that a little bit? What does that look like for you now as a parent?
That's a great question on fans. Um, it's crazy to see because for sure. So, like for instance, with school, that was something that always came easily to me. I was a fast reader, all this stuff, but it's not coming easily to one of my sons. So it truly was. I had to go to the teacher and say, okay, like how can I help him because I don't understand where he's coming from with this. So it's been a lot of learning.
Mm.
Like, of course, parenting, right? It's a lot of learning for sure. But the business side of things, it's really funny because my kids have seen, as much as I say that they got the short end of the stick at some points, they've also gained a lot by seeing that mommy runs her own business and she has people who work for her and there's tiny troops everywhere. And, just seeing them realize, wait, how's there tiny troops everywhere? You're only here. And so they're starting to understand business a little bit. And they have the entrepreneur gene. So my 7-year-old one day wanted to take cupcakes around. And I was like, oh, so you want to bake them and sell them, like set up a table. He's like,
Mhm.
no, I'm going to just go take them door to door. And I'm like, okay. And then he said, and I'm going to buy them. I'm like, so you're not even going to make homemade ones? You're just going to take one from the store? And he's like, yeah, well, that's faster. And they don't cost that much. So I think I would make more money. So like, just stop that he would say. So I was so embarrassed, Roxanne, and I don't know why. Like I should, but I was like, all right. So I'm like, well, you have to go up there. Like, you have to ring the doorbell. You need to look them in the eye and speak clearly and tell them what you're selling and why you're selling it and how much you want. And so, of course, no one's going to turn him down.
Oh,
Right. So
yeah.
he sells these store bought cupcakes door to door in our neighborhood. And then he's like, he started, my husband talked to him about like reinvesting the profits. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right, like, great concept, but we're not going to fit up the neighbors like every day. So let's just chill out. So
Yeah.
anyway, yes, they have gone on to like, hey, we can make money out of it. It's like, how can we
Oh,
do?
yeah. I love it. It reminds me, when I was very first a parent, I was working with a coach who I was stressing about the same thing, right? You know what, I'm not giving my daughter my full attention. I'm not, kind of that stress that we go through as entrepreneurs. And she reminded me of the gift that I was giving to my daughter. And it sounds like the gift you've given to your sons, right? Of showing them that you are a full human being, right?
Mhm.
You're not existing in this role of mother only for them, right? You have this whole world as well. And what a gift that is to remind them from a very young age that we are whole human beings. So I love hearing, love hearing that
Yeah.
story.
And I love showing them, Roxanne, that there's a woman who owns her own business, who's in charge, who is also a mom. So it's just,
Yes.
they see that, because
Yeah.
even because I don't want them to have a limited thought of like, oh, well, moms only stay home. Of course, that's amazing if that's
Right.
what you do, right? But I want them to know that we can also do anything we want to do. And so I
Absolutely.
think that's cool.
Absolutely. And I love what you said too. It's about the choice, right? We want to make sure that that it's what you're choosing to do. So Amy, I want to ask a little bit about you personally. So we know what you do, we understand like how parenting has changed your entrepreneurship journey, but how has doing all of this changed you as a person?
I, I, it's made me realize, but not until recently, that I have limitation. Because
Ooh, okay.
before, especially before kids, I would work, work, work. I could do whatever, like put on take on all these tasks and all these projects and help me in the community and this and that. Um, but there came a point, and not like a breakdown or anything, but just a point where I was like, my mind, I just literally felt like my mind was saying, you cannot consume one more piece of information or make one decision. Like, you've got to slow down. And then it made me think like, but no, like, I can do anything. I'm woman, hear me roar, right? Like, I
Yes.
can anything. But then it made me realize there's nothing wrong with that slowing down. Like, get out. We don't have to have that so much. And um, also, I've changed in the fact of, and I hope my staff would agree, I'm less controlling now. So I'm able to delegate more, whereas because I'm always so used to being in the leader position, it's easy for me to say, this is what we're doing. Here's what we do. I need you to do this and you do this. And so I've really had to um, let go of that control and trust others to help, like, carry out the vision I have, which has been a really good thing.
Yeah. That's a hard thing to learn too, though.
Right.
That's, uh, from one recovering perfectionist to another. That's a hard thing to learn.
Mhm.
That's but that makes a lot of sense. That's really cool. Do you ever experience guilt around any of it, around parenting and entrepreneurship, trying to live in the same space?
So I did when I first started my company, because when you first start out, it's literally you are everything. You
Yeah.
are the marketing, you are the person at the field taking money in person. Like, whoever thought that that's a thing nowadays, right? You're the one coaching, you're the one making the policies and making the waivers and doing this and getting the t-shirts and passing them out. So I mean, even just doing all that, you're exhausted, and those times you're up until 2 and then up again at 6 with the kids. And you just can't, you don't have it all in you to give to them. So I've definitely felt guilty on I I think about that often, that and this may not be a popular opinion, but I kind of feel like to build a business with our lifestyle, where we have partners that we can't rely on for support on the home front,
Yeah.
uh, like, there's going to be some times where you're not super mom and you're just barely like keeping people alive, right?
Right.
And then I would feel guilty because that's what I wanted to do, like, working I'll say comes more natural to me than parenting.
Yes.
And so, yeah, definitely have felt guilty. I do always like, and this may be completely, like, not the correct child psychology, but, like, I felt like those hours were when they were younger, so maybe they don't remember as much, and so now I'm at a good spot and can spend that time with them. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so definitely some guilt in there, but I don't regret it.
It's refreshing to talk to you. I have to say, to hear the honesty coming through of kind of just owning the existence in the life and not trying to sugarcoat it or make it something it isn't. I feel like that's the whole reason I started this podcast, right? Was to get these stories to help kind of normalize
Mhm.
the reality of the situation rather than this ideal that we paint this picture of. So on that note, what do you wish people knew about being a parent and an entrepreneur at the same time? Or what do you wish you had known going into it?
Um, I I'm not sure, but I mean, I know a lot of people always say, "Well, oh my gosh, how do you do it?" And just as military spouses, you're like, "Yeah, we just do it.
We
Like,
just do it.
I don't
Mhm.
think you, we just do it." But um, I don't know. It's kind of like that overnight success term, that people say when truly there's never ever an overnight success. So it's just people don't know that work that goes behind it. I don't know. I guess maybe I would wish that the customers understood more.
Mm.
And that was something because, um, we like for Tiny Troops specifically, I can't compete with the base and the fact that they can give you a $60 program where you get the full jersey and the socks and the shoes and this and that, because we don't have government funds. We're literally small military spouse owned business. And so,
Yeah.
but I mean, as a consumer, I get it, like you want the best deal, of course.
Right.
I would say it's definitely opened my eyes to shopping small and like giving businesses more grace in certain areas. And, um, yeah, I guess that's it.
Hot takes from Amy. I love this. I have never had that question answered from the customer perspective, and I love that you brought it up because it really is important to shop small. I feel like you don't learn that until you learn that, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And so to have that perspective, oh, that's beautiful.
I will say though, our instruction is, I would say at least 99% of the time, way better than the bigger things.
Yes.
So I do want to say that, but
Yes.
personally, like all the stuff you actually get, like physical stuff you get, we
Right.
can't do that as a small business.
Right. Showing up with quality over quantity.
Yes, for sure.
Yes.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, it really is a mindset shift that happens there, I think. I look up right above my computer, so you can't see it where you are right now, but I have a piece of art from one of my very favorite artists. And it was, right, it's this investment of, I thought, I'm not going to buy a print. I'm going to, buy the original
Mhm.
because that's the quality. And it was one of those, I work with a lot of artists as well. I coach a lot of artists. And
Okay.
I'm always encouraging them. I'm like, listen, raise your prices, raise your prices, raise your prices, right? Because you're stuck in this mindset of, cheap, 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 but it's okay.
Mm.
There are people who will pay quality. And it really is, it's a mindset shift as a consumer as well, right? And so ooh, I love that take. I
And
absolutely love that take. All right. So I feel like you answered this a little bit, but I'm going to ask you a little more pointedly. I want to know how you reimagine hustle. And I'm going to let you know why I asked this question. So if you've listened to the podcast before, you'll know that when I first started my entrepreneur journey, I actually was not a parent. My entrepreneur journey was born before my kids were. And I loved it. I loved the hustle culture. I love, I mean, I see it in you too. I mean, it's fun to see that, the go, 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 hustle, 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 work hard, play hard. But there never was any play hard because it was just work hard so you can work harder. And then my daughter was born and my whole world changed. And instantly it was like, oh, this is not sustainable. This is not manageable. I have to do something different. You throw everything else into it and realize that I had to change fundamentally at my core. who I was and what I was seeking. And as I've gone on this journey, I've realized, okay, this isn't actually something I'm changing at my core. This is something that has been kind of culturally ingrained in me, this hustle culture. And so I would love to know, how are you reimagining hustle? And we've talked about it a little bit for you personally. So I want to know, especially as a boss, how are you reimagining hustle for you and your team?
Yeah. So I've had to be very mindful, which I failed at it. And just recently I've been mindful of it, that my hustle, hustle, go, go, go then translates to my team. And I absolutely love their dedication where they would, if I sent them something at 10 p.m., they would probably answer me at 10 p.m. because they don't want to disappoint me and they want to do what they can for the company. Um, and I hate to say that was our culture for a long time, probably up until like the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And so I finally realized, like, I'm like, no, I don't want you working all the time, but that's the example I was setting. And so I had to realize, I was just on a girls' trip a couple months ago and I'm scheduling my slacks. Like, I was like, I can't let them know I'm thinking about work, like, because
Yes.
you can take a vacation and actually just take the vacation. Like, don't
Yeah.
take your computer, don't take your phone. And it was nice just to take a vacation. But then, as an entrepreneur, stuff pops in your head all the time.
All the time.
And so I'm like, I typed it all out and I scheduled it all. And it's funny because my assistant director, um, like everyone on like Monday, puff like 100 messages, everyone. And
Yep.
he's like, "You weren't supposed to be back today." And I was like, "Well, I mean, I was just going to the airport today, so I thought." And she's like, "Yeah, but on the calendar it says you're still on vacation. So now you told that, and you're supposed to be on vacation, but they got this." So then I had to say, "Oops, sorry," which hopefully they're not listening. "Oops,
Right.
sorry, guys." I was like, "Where was that?" I messed up my calendar. It's actually home a day earlier.
Yeah.
But just reimagining in the fact that it doesn't have to be all consuming, which like you said before, for both of us, it was.
Yeah.
And we were okay with that,
Yeah.
and we were. And so
Right.
realizing that that's actually not what I want. I want to actually work less and still make the same amount of money or more.
Yeah.
Uh, and so once I just kind of realized like that's actually the way to go. That's actually what the life I want, not the work, work, work. Like I want this life where I'm not working much and still getting reward. So
Mhm.
I guess that's how I reimagine it, just like slowing it down, not being all consumed by it.
I love that. I absolutely love that. It's a great way to reimagine it. And again, I love the honesty that we're getting from you, right? That we're watching this progression happen for you. So thank you for letting us in and sharing that with us. Before I let you go, will you give us a 30-second pep talk for other parents who are on this entrepreneur journey?
Yeah. I would say, like, we know it's hard, but get your sleep. You so need it. It is so critical in your thinking, your ability to parent, your ability to run your business. Get your sleep. Get in help when you can. So get the grocery pickup. That was literally the most life changing thing in my life. We came from Hawaii before they had it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have to take, wait, what? And now I swear I refuse to go to a grocery store. So I do grocery pickup. And not even gonna lie, I asked for the delivery for Christmas from my parents, so they paid the fee, so I get delivery now, I mean, it's like down the road, but I don't even care because it saves
Yeah.
so much time. So, anyways, grocery delivery, get a babysitter if you can. Try to get them at regular times, even if it's like 2 hours once a week. You will feel like you can actually sit and have a thought and work on that thought without being interrupted. So that's so critical. Um, and if nothing else, save the good snacks and the good movies for the time you have to be on a meeting and can't do anything else with the kids. And you just literally turn on that TV, give them the good snacks, and it has to happen. Don't feel bad about it.
It's such a practical pep talk. That's like the coach. I feel like the real coach coming out of you. Let's be really practical, really actionable. Amy, this has been an absolute treat. Tell us where we can find you online. We need more of you. Where can we find you?
Yeah, sure. So on LinkedIn, you can find me at Amy Tiny Troop Soccer. So I post about like women in sports, women in business, just things like that, sports in general on LinkedIn. I have a book that I wrote. It's called I Will Be Okay, Adventures of a Military Kid. So you could find that on Amazon. Um, we are recently launching a coaching course for parents who were voluntold or guilted into coaching their child's team because, with years of research that I've put into it, you really can't just show up
Right.
without a plan. They will eat you alive. So we've made a whole course that has videos and trainings and all the practice plans. So that's coming out. You can find on our website, tinytroopsoccer.com. That's coming up. Registration, of course, we do registration every month starting on the 15th. So we'd love to have kiddos out. That's also through our website. We're always looking for coaches. If you love kids, even if you don't have a charismatic personality by nature, we always say as long as you can turn on your coach personality, which we call it, and you love kids, you want to help. If you have soccer experience, that's great. We'd love to have you as a tab on our page. Join us. You can learn all about the options. We have Tiny Troop Soccer, Facebook, Instagram. We do have TikTok, but don't judge it. We're trying, and I feel like I'm 80, and so we're trying, but
It's a
we do
work in
have
progress.
it's a work in progress.
Awesome. And we'll make sure that we link everything in the show notes.
Yeah, yeah.
Amy, this has been just an absolute treat. Thank you for spending this time with us, and good luck with the retirement wrench. That's going to be a fun one. I look forward to hearing more from you in the future as well and see how that changes things.
Yeah, I'll come back, and I'm sure I could do a whole episode on just trying not to lose your mind or kill your spouse during retirement. So,
That would probably be a very valuable episode. Awesome, Amy. Thanks so much.
thanks, Roxanne.
Thanks for listening to Reimagining Hustle with Roxanne Merkett. If you like the show and want more, check out reimagininghustle.com and please leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back next week with another episode. See you soon.